It was a typical Wednesday evening when my phone buzzed with a notification. I glanced at it, expecting some mundane message or spam email. Instead, it was a video link from an unknown number. Curious, I tapped on it, and within seconds, my world shattered. The video was of my wife, Sophia, in a compromising position with another man. The realization hit me like a freight train. She was cheating on me. My initial reaction was disbelief. How could this happen? Sophia and I had been married for 10 years, and while our relationship had its ups and downs, I never suspected infidelity. I played the video over and over, each time hoping it was some sick joke, but the evidence was undeniable. It was her, in our bed, with another man. Anger quickly followed disbelief. I wanted to confront her immediately, but I knew I needed to keep a level head. I decided to wait until she came home from work. When she walked through the door, smiling and oblivious to the storm about to hit, I felt a surge of rage. "Sophia, we need to talk," I said. She looked at me, puzzled. "What's wrong, David?" I pulled out my phone, opened the video, and thrust it in her face. Her expression shifted from confusion to horror as she watched the damning footage. "David, I can explain," she stammered, her face pale. "Explain? How do you explain this, Sophia?" I demanded. "You've been cheating on me!" Her eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape. Then, as if a light bulb went off in her head, she said, "David, it's not what it looks like."
"This video is fake. It's a deep fake created by some neural network."
I stared at her, incredulous. "You expect me to believe that?"
"Yes, these things are getting really sophisticated. Someone is trying to mess with us, David. You can't believe everything you see online,"
she insisted, her voice growing desperate. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But deep down, I knew the truth. This wasn't some elaborate hoax. Still, I decided to play along, if only to see where this would lead. "All right, let's say I believe you. Who would do this to us, and why?" I said. She hesitated, then said, "I don't know, but we need to find out who sent this video and make them pay for trying to ruin our marriage." I nodded. "You're right. Let's find out who did this." As Sophia breathed a sigh of relief, I felt a cold determination settle over me. She thought she had convinced me, but she was wrong. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The next morning, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal gnawing at my insides. Sophia seemed determined to play the part of the innocent victim. She was already making a list of people who might have a grudge against us, discussing potential motives with an enthusiasm that would have been admirable under different circumstances.
"Maybe it was someone from your work, David," she suggested over breakfast. "Anyone there who might be jealous of you?"
I sipped my coffee, watching her closely. "It's possible," I said noncommittally. "But what about you? Anyone from your side who might have a reason to do this?" She paused, looking genuinely contemplative. "No one comes to mind immediately, but let's not rule anyone out." The whole act was almost convincing, but I knew better. The video sender had to be someone close enough to know about her affair, someone who wanted me to know the truth. I spent the day pretending to be as invested in this wild goose chase as she was, all the while plotting my next move. That evening, after Sophia went to bed, I revisited the video. I scrutinized every detail, hoping to find a clue. Then it hit me. The timestamp. The video was dated 3 weeks ago. I started to think back to what Sophia had been doing around that time. The next day, I called in sick to work and decided to visit the man in the video. I remembered seeing him once at one of Sophia's office parties, a guy named Nick. He seemed harmless then, but now I saw him in a different light. Sophia had no idea I was on my way to confront him. Nick's apartment was in a trendy part of town, not too far from where we lived. I stood outside his door, my heart pounding. Summoning my courage, I knocked. After a moment, Nick opened the door, his eyes widening in surprise when he saw me. "David, what are you doing here?" he asked, trying to mask his nervousness. Can I come in? I said, forcing a polite smile. We need to talk. Reluctantly, he stepped aside, letting me enter. His apartment was a bachelor pad, complete with sparse furniture and the lingering scent of cologne. I walked straight to the living room, turning to face him once he closed the door. I know about you and Sophia, I said bluntly, watching his reaction. Nick's face paled. What are you talking about? The video, I continued, my voice hardening. The one you sent me. Nick's eyes darted around the room, looking for an escape. David, I didn't send any video. I don't know what you're talking about. Cut the crap, Nick. You think you can play me for a fool? Why'd you send it? To gloat? Nick's panic was palpable. I swear I didn't send anything. Yes, Sophia and we had an affair, but I had nothing to do with sending you that video. His sincerity was almost convincing, but I wasn't ready to let him off the hook. If it wasn't you, then who? Who else knew about this? Nick ran a hand through his hair, looking genuinely scared. I don't know, man. Sophia was paranoid about someone finding out. She mentioned a coworker who seemed to know too much. Maybe it was him. What's his name? I demanded. Jack Simmons. He works in the same department as Sophia. I nodded, filing the information away. All right, Nick. If I find out you're lying, you'll regret it. Leaving his apartment, I felt a grim satisfaction. Whether Nick was involved or not, I now had another lead. Jack Simmons was next on my list, and I was determined to uncover the truth. Sophia had no idea that the walls were closing in, not just on her lover, but on her as well. The following day, I headed to Sophia's office, keeping a low profile as I navigated through the building. I'd been there a few times for company events, so I had a general sense of the layout. I found Jack Simmons' desk easily enough. He was hunched over his computer, seemingly lost in his work. I approached him, clearing my throat. Jack Simmons? He looked up, surprised. Yes, can I help you? I offered a tight smile. I'm David, Sophia's husband. I need to talk to you about something important. He blinked a few times, processing the information. Sure. Should we go somewhere private? That would be best, I replied. Jack led me to a small conference room. As soon as the door closed behind us, I cut to the chase. I know about Sophia's affair. Nick told me you might know something about a video that was sent to me. Jack's eyes widened in shock. Whoa, hold on, I don't know anything about a video. Don't lie to me, I snapped. Nick said you were aware of the affair. If you didn't send the video, you must know who did. He raised his hands defensively. Okay. I did know about the affair. Sophia confided in me once when she was freaking out about someone possibly finding out. But I swear I didn't send any video. I studied his face, looking for any signs of deceit. If you didn't send it, then who could have? Who else knew? Jack looked genuinely puzzled. Honestly, I don't know. Sophia was paranoid, but she was also pretty careful. The only other person who might know something is Laura, our office manager. She's close to Sophia and might have overheard something. I took a deep breath, trying to control my frustration. Fine. Thanks for your time, Jack. If I find out you're involved, we'll have another conversation. Leaving the conference room, I felt a mix of anger and determination. I had another lead, but the pieces weren't fitting together as neatly as I hoped. Still, I was getting closer. That evening, I decided to confront Sophia again. I needed to gauge her reaction to my newfound information. When she came home, I casually brought up her coworkers. How was work today? I asked, watching her closely. Same as always, she replied, a bit too cheerfully. Did you talk to Jack or Laura today? I continued, pretending to be nonchalant. She hesitated for a split second before responding. Yeah, I talked to Laura for a bit. Why do you ask? I was just curious, I said, keeping my tone light. I was thinking maybe we should invite some of your coworkers over for dinner. You know, to get to know them better. Meh. Sophia looked surprised. Really? I didn't think you were interested in my work friends. Well, things have been stressful lately. I thought it might be nice to have a little get-together, I explained, watching her reaction. She nodded slowly.
Sure, that sounds nice. Maybe next weekend?
Perfect, I said, forcing a smile. Next weekend it is. As the evening wore on, I noticed Sophia seemed more relaxed, as if she believed she had successfully thrown me off the trail. But little did she know, I was more determined than ever to uncover the truth. Later that night, while Sophia was in the shower, I took the opportunity to search her phone again. This time, I focused on her messages with Laura. There were a few casual conversations, but one message caught my eye. "Don't worry about Jack. He won't say anything. Just keep playing it cool." My heart raced as I read the message over and over. It was clear that Laura knew something. I needed to talk to her, and soon. Sophia might think she had me fooled, but I was closer to the truth than she realized. And when the time came, she would have to face the consequences of her actions. The next day, I decided to pay a visit to Laura. If she was close to Sophia, she might know more than she let on. I called her office, pretending to be a delivery person needing to confirm an address, and found out she was working from home that day. Perfect. I drove to Laura's address, rehearsing my approach in my mind. I had to be careful not to tip her off that I was on to them. When I arrived, I took a deep breath and knocked on her door. After a few moments, Laura opened the door. "David? What are you doing here?"
Hi, Laura. I was hoping we could talk, I said. It's about Sophia. Her expression turned cautious. Is everything okay?
"Can I come in?" I asked, giving her my best friendly smile. She hesitated, but eventually stepped aside, allowing me to enter. Her home was tidy and well decorated, a stark contrast to the turmoil I felt inside. "What's going on?" she asked. I decided to be direct. "I know about Sophia's affair, and I know you know too." Laura's eyes widened, and she quickly looked away. I don't know what you're talking about." "Come on, Laura. I saw the messages between you and Sophia. You're in this up to your neck," I said, leaning forward. "Just tell me the truth."
She sighed, wringing her hands nervously. "Okay, fine. Yes, I know about the affair, but I didn't send you that video, David, I swear." "Then who did?" I demanded. "I need to know."
"I have no idea," she insisted. "Sophia was always paranoid about someone finding out."
But she never mentioned anyone specific who might do something like this. I studied her face, looking for any sign of deception. She seemed genuinely frightened, but I couldn't be sure. "If you're lying to me, Laura, I'll find out, and there will be consequences." "I'm not lying," she said, her voice trembling. "I didn't want to be involved in this at all, but Sophia dragged me into it. She made me promise not to say anything." I took a deep breath, trying to control my anger. "All right, but if you think of anything, you need to tell me. This isn't over." I left Laura's house, feeling a mix of frustration and determination. I was running out of leads, but I couldn't give up now. I needed to find out who sent that video and why, and I needed to make sure Sophia paid for her betrayal. That evening, I decided to confront Sophia one more time. I waited until after dinner, when we were sitting in the living room. "Sophia, I talked to Laura today," I said, watching her closely. She stiffened, her eyes narrowing. "What about?" "She confirmed what I already knew. She knows about the affair," I said, my voice hardening. "And she mentioned that you were paranoid about someone finding out. So who could have sent that video?" Sophia's face went pale. "I don't know, David. I swear I have no idea." "You're lying," I snapped. "You need to start telling me the truth, Sophia. Who sent the video?" Tears welled up in her eyes, but I felt no sympathy. "I don't know. Please, you have to believe me." I stood up, towering over her. "I don't believe you, Sophia, but I'm going to find out the truth one way or another. And when I do, you will pay for what you've done." Sophia sobbed, burying her face in her hands. I turned and walked out of the room, my resolve stronger than ever. She thought she could manipulate me, but she was wrong. I was in control now, and I wouldn't stop until I had all the answers. In the days that followed, I continued to dig for information. I hacked into Sophia's email, looked through her social media, and even followed her a few times. It was exhausting, but I needed to be thorough. And finally, I caught a break. An email from an anonymous account showed up in her inbox with the subject line, "For your eyes only." I knew it was the clue I had been searching for. As I opened the email, my heart pounded in my chest. This was it, the moment of truth. The email contained a single line of text and a video attachment. The text read, "I told you I'd get revenge." I clicked on the video, and my blood ran cold. It was another video of Sophia and Nick, even more damning than the first. But this time, there was a clear shot of a reflection in the mirror, the person recording the video. It was Jack. Everything clicked into place. Jack had been the one to send the video, seeking revenge for some perceived slight. And now, I had the proof I needed to confront Sophia and Jack. The endgame was in sight, and I was ready to see it through to the bitter end. Armed with the new video and the undeniable proof of Jack's involvement, I felt a grim satisfaction settle over me. I had the ammunition I needed to confront Sophia and Jack and bring this nightmare to a close. But I needed to play my cards right, ensuring that my plan would leave no room for escape or denial. That evening, I approached Sophia with a calm demeanor, masking the storm brewing inside me. "Sophia, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady. She looked up from her book, her eyes wary. "About what?" "I found out who sent the video," I said, watching her reaction closely. Her eyes widened in surprise and fear. "Who? Who did this to us?" "Jack," I replied, letting the name hang in the air. Sophia's face paled. "Jack, why would he do that?" "I have my reasons to believe he was jealous and wanted to ruin our marriage," I said, keeping my tone even. "He recorded another video, Sophia, and this time he left evidence that he was the one behind the camera." Her face crumpled in despair, and she buried her face in her hands. "I can't believe this. I trusted him. What are we going to do?" "We're going to confront him," I said, my voice hardening. "He needs to pay for what he's done." She nodded, wiping away her tears. "Yes, we need to confront him. But how?" "Leave that to me," I said, a plan already forming in my mind. "We'll do it together, and we'll make sure he never does this to anyone else again." The next day, I arranged a meeting with Jack at a local coffee shop. Sophia and I arrived together, presenting a united front. Jack was already there, sipping his coffee nervously. "David, Sophia, what's this about?" he asked, his eyes darting between us. I sat down across from him, fixing him with a steely gaze. "You know exactly what this is about, Jack. We know you sent those videos." His face drained of color. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Cut the crap," I snapped, pulling out my phone and showing him the latest video. "You recorded this, didn't you? You were trying to destroy our marriage out of jealousy." Jack's eyes widened in horror as he watched the video. Okay, I admit it. I sent the videos, but I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was angry and jealous." "You've done enough damage," Sophia said, her voice trembling. "You betrayed our trust." Jack looked genuinely remorseful, but I wasn't about to let him off the hook. "You're going to pay for this, Jack. We're going to make sure you face the consequences." He nodded, looking defeated. "I understand. I'll do whatever you want to make this right." "We'll be filing a restraining order against you," I said coldly, "and we'll make sure everyone at the office knows what you did." As we left the coffee shop, Sophia seemed relieved, as if a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. "Thank you, David," she said, her voice soft. "I think we can finally move on from this." But she had no idea what was coming next. She thought that punishing Jack would mend the cracks in our relationship, that we could go back to the way things were. She was wrong. That night, as we sat down for dinner, I knew it was time to reveal my final move. "Sophia, there's something you need to know," I said, my voice calm but firm. She looked at me, confusion clouding her eyes. "What is it?" "I'm filing for divorce," I said, watching her reaction closely. Her fork clattered to the table, and she stared at me in shock. "What? Why? I thought we were fixing things." I can't stay in a marriage built on lies and betrayal, I said, my voice steady. You cheated on me, Sophia, and no amount of revenge on Jack can change that.
But we can work through this, she stammered, tears filling her eyes. I don't think so, I said, shaking my head. I've already spoken to a lawyer. I have the evidence I need to prove your infidelity.
Everything we've built together will be mine.
Sophia sobbed, her world crumbling around her. Please, David, don't do this.
It's too late, Sophia, I said, standing up. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. As I walked away, leaving her crying at the table, I felt a sense of closure. The nightmare was over, and I was finally free from the web of lies and deceit. It was time to start a new chapter in my life, one free from betrayal and heartbreak. The days following my declaration of divorce were a whirlwind of emotions and legal proceedings. Sophia was devastated, but I remained resolute. My lawyer assured me that with the evidence I had, the divorce would go in my favor. I filed the papers, detailing her infidelity and providing the videos as proof. Sophia tried to plead with me several times, hoping to salvage what was left of our marriage. She sent me countless messages, begging for another chance, but I ignored them. The betrayal was too deep, and there was no turning back. One evening, a few days after filing for divorce, Sophia showed up at my apartment. She looked worn out, her eyes red from crying. David, please, she implored, standing in the doorway. We need to talk. I sighed, letting her in. What is it, Sophia? She sat down on the couch, her hands trembling. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but can't we at least try to fix this? We've been through so much together. I looked at her, feeling a pang of sadness. We had shared a life, memories, dreams, but those were all overshadowed by her betrayal. Sophia, it's over. You broke my trust, and I can't forgive that. Tears streamed down her face as she sobbed. I'm so sorry, David. I was stupid and selfish, but I love you. Doesn't that mean anything? It did once, I said, but not anymore. You made your choice, and now you have to live with the consequences. She cried harder, her shoulders shaking. What about everything we built together? The house, the memories. We can't just throw it all away. I'm not throwing it away, Sophia. You did that when you decided to cheat on me. I said, I'm moving on. You should too. She looked at me, desperation in her eyes. Can't we at least try counseling? Maybe we can work through this. I shook my head. Counseling can't fix what you broke. I need a fresh start, away from all of this. Sophia stood up, her face a mask of despair. I guess this is really it then. I'm sorry, David. I truly am. I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and sorrow. Goodbye, Sophia. She left, and I closed the door behind her, leaning against it as I took a deep breath. It was painful, but necessary. I needed to move forward with my life. A few weeks passed, and the divorce proceedings progressed smoothly. With the evidence I had, Sophia didn't stand a chance in court. The judge ruled in my favor, granting me the house and the majority of our assets. Sophia was left with little more than her personal belongings. I felt a sense of closure as I signed the final papers. The chapter of my life with Sophia was officially over. I was free to start anew, to rebuild my life without the shadows of infidelity hanging over me. One evening, I received a message from an unknown number. Hesitant, I opened it. It was from Nick. Hey, David, I heard about the divorce. I'm really sorry about everything. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. I stared at the message, feeling a surge of anger, the nerve of him reaching out after everything that happened. I deleted the message, unwilling to engage with him. I had no interest in reopening old wounds. As the days turned into weeks, I focused on moving forward. I redecorated the house, removing any traces of Sophia. I started going out more, reconnecting with old friends and even joining a local gym. It felt good to take control of my life again. One night, as I was relaxing at home, my phone rang. It was my lawyer. David, I have some news, he said. Sophia is contesting the divorce settlement. She's claiming emotional distress and wants a larger share of the assets. I sighed, feeling a headache forming. Can she do that? She can try, he replied. But with the evidence we have, it's unlikely she'll succeed. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Thanks for letting me know, I said, rubbing my temples. Keep me posted. As I hung up, I felt a renewed sense of determination. Sophia might try to fight this, but I wouldn't let her drag me down. I had come too far to let her pull me back into the chaos. The next morning, I received another message from an unknown number. This time, it was from Laura. David, I need to talk to you. It's important. Can we meet? I hesitated, wondering what she could possibly have to say. After a moment, I replied, agreeing to meet her at a nearby cafe. When I arrived, Laura was already there, looking anxious. She stood up as soon as she saw me. David, thank you for meeting me, she said, her voice trembling. What's this about Laura? I asked. She took a deep breath, looking around nervously. I know I should have told you this earlier, but I was scared. There's something you need to know about Sophia and Jack. My heart raced as I leaned in, listening intently. What is it? Sophia and Jack were more involved than you think, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. They were planning something that could ruin you. A chill ran down my spine as I processed her words. What are you talking about? Laura looked around again, then leaned closer. They were planning to frame you, David. Sophia wanted to take everything from you, and Jack was helping her. They had a plan to make it look like you were abusive, to turn everyone against you. My mind reeled with the revelation. Sophia's betrayal ran deeper than I had imagined. How do you know this? I overheard them talking, Laura said, her eyes wide with fear. They didn't know I was there. I heard everything. I sat back, my thoughts racing. Sophia's desperation made sense now. She wasn't just trying to salvage our marriage. She was trying to cover her tracks. But now, I had the upper hand. Thank you for telling me, Laura, I said. I'll take it from here. As I left the cafe, a sense of clarity washed over me. Sophia's deception knew no bounds, but I was ready to face whatever came next. I had the truth on my side, and I wouldn't let her win. The end game was approaching, and I was prepared to see it through. Sophia would pay for her betrayal, and I would finally be free from the web of lies she had spun. The revelation from Laura was like a bolt of lightning. I spent the next few days processing the depths of Sophia and Jack's betrayal. They had conspired to ruin me, to take everything I had worked so hard for. But now, armed with this new information, I was more determined than ever to see justice served. I contacted my lawyer and relayed everything Laura had told me. He was shocked, but assured me that this new evidence would strengthen my case significantly. We need to get Laura to testify, he said. Her testimony could be the nail in the coffin for Sophia and Jack. I arranged a meeting with Laura, my lawyer, and myself. Laura was nervous but agreed to testify, understanding the gravity of the situation. We prepared a strategy, knowing that Sophia would likely fight back with everything she had. As the court date approached, I could feel the tension building. I was ready to face Sophia and Jack, to expose their treachery for all to see. When the day finally arrived, I walked into the courtroom with a sense of resolve. Sophia was already there, looking frail and defeated. Jack was beside her, his face a mask of anxiety. They both avoided my gaze, knowing that the truth was about to come crashing down on them. The proceedings began, and my lawyer presented the evidence of Sophia's infidelity, the videos, and Laura's testimony. Laura recounted everything she had overheard, her voice steady despite her fear. The judge listened intently, taking notes and asking questions. Sophia's lawyer tried to discredit Laura's testimony, but my lawyer was prepared. He pointed out inconsistencies in Sophia's story and highlighted the lengths she and Jack had gone to in their attempt to frame me. It was clear to everyone in the courtroom that Sophia and Jack were guilty. Finally, it was my turn to speak. I stood up, looking directly at Sophia and Jack. Sophia, Jack, you both betrayed me in the worst possible way. You conspired to ruin my life, to take everything I held dear. But your lies have been exposed, and now you must face the consequences of your actions. Sophia burst into tears, realizing the gravity of her situation. Jack hung his head, knowing there was no escape. The judge reviewed the evidence one last time before delivering the verdict. Given the overwhelming evidence presented, it is clear that Mrs. Sophia Collins and Mr. Jack Simmons engaged in a conspiracy to defraud Mr. David Collins. The divorce settlement will remain in Mr. Collins's favor, and Mrs. Collins will receive no additional assets. Furthermore, Mr. Simmons is to be restrained from contacting Mr. Collins in any manner. I felt a wave of relief wash over me as the judge's words sank in. Justice had been served. Sophia and Jack would pay for their deceit, and I could finally move forward with my life. As we left the courtroom, Sophia approached me, her eyes filled with remorse.
David, I'm so sorry,
she said, her voice breaking.
I never meant for things to go this far.
I looked at her, feeling a mixture of sadness and relief.
It's too late for apologies, Sophia. You made your choices,
and now you have to live with them.
She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I wish things had been different.
So do I said softly. But we can't change the past. We can only move forward. With that, I turned and walked away, leaving Sophia and Jack to face the wreckage of their actions. I felt a sense of closure, knowing that I had fought for the truth and won. The days following the trial were a blur of paperwork and finalizing the divorce settlement. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders as I signed the final documents, officially severing the ties that bound me to Sophia. It was a bittersweet victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. I decided to take some time for myself, to reflect on everything that had happened and to plan for the future. I booked a trip to a quiet cabin in the mountains, a place where I could find peace and solitude. It was a chance to heal, to start fresh, and to rediscover who I was outside of the chaos that had consumed my life. As I packed my bags and prepared to leave, I received a call from Laura.
David, I just wanted to say thank you, she said, for standing up for the truth and for giving me the courage to do the same.
Thank you, Laura, I replied, feeling a sense of gratitude. I couldn't have done it without your help. You were brave, and you did the right thing.
Take care, David, she said, and I hope you find the happiness you deserve.
As I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of optimism for the first time in a long time. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was mine to travel. I was free from the web of lies and deceit, ready to embrace whatever the future held. With a deep breath, I left the house and set off for the cabin, ready to start a new chapter in my life. The past was behind me, and a new dawn was breaking. The drive to the cabin was long but therapeutic. The further I got from the city, the lighter I felt. The weight of the past few months seemed to lift with each mile. The cabin was nestled in a serene part of the mountains, surrounded by towering pines and a tranquil lake nearby. It was the perfect place to begin anew. As I unpacked and settled in, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. The quiet was soothing, and I spent my days hiking, reading, and reflecting on everything that had happened. It was a time to heal and to rediscover who I was outside of my failed marriage. One afternoon, while sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from an unknown number. Curious, I opened it and found a long text from Sophia.
David, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to say this. I am truly sorry for everything I've done. I betrayed you in the worst way possible, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But I need you to know that I am seeking help. I've started therapy to understand why I did what I did and to become a better person. I hope one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me. Not for my sake, but for your own peace. Take care, Sophia.
I read the message several times, feeling a mix of emotions. Part of me wanted to respond, to tell her that forgiveness would be a long time coming, if ever. But another part of me realized that holding on to anger would only hinder my own healing. I decided to let it go, at least for now. Sophia's journey was hers to take, and mine was just beginning. As the days turned into weeks, I felt myself growing stronger, more confident. The scars of the past were still there, but they no longer defined me. I began to envision a future where I was happy, free from the shadows of betrayal. One morning, while hiking along a particularly beautiful trail, I encountered a fellow hiker named Emily. She was kind, with a warm smile and an easy laugh. We struck up a conversation, sharing stories about our lives and what had brought us to the mountains. Emily had her own tale of heartbreak, having recently gone through a painful breakup. We bonded over our shared experiences, finding comfort in each other's company. As we spent more time together, I felt a spark I hadn't felt in a long time. Emily was genuine, and being around her was effortless. We started meeting up regularly, exploring the trails, cooking meals together, and talking late into the night. For the first time in a long time, I felt a glimmer of hope for the future. One evening, as we sat by the lake watching the sunset, Emily turned to me. "David, I know we've both been through a lot, and I don't want to rush things, but I really enjoy spending time with you. I feel like we have a connection." I smiled, feeling the same way. "I feel it too, Emily, and I think we're both ready to start a new chapter." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun dip below the horizon. It was a moment of tranquility, a symbol of the new beginnings we were both ready to embrace. As my time at the cabin came to an end, I felt a sense of closure and anticipation. The healing process wasn't over, but I was on the right path. I had faced the darkness, confronted the lies, and emerged stronger. Sophia and Jack were part of my past, but they no longer held power over me. Emily and I decided to stay in touch, and as I drove back to the city, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. I was ready to rebuild my life, to create new memories, and to embrace the future with an open heart. Back home, I focused on my career, my hobbies, and my newfound friendships. Emily and I continued to see each other, taking things slow but enjoying every moment. It was a fresh start, untainted by the shadows of the past. One day, while cleaning out my old files, I stumbled upon the divorce papers and the videos that had once shattered my world. I paused, feeling a wave of emotions, but instead of anger or sadness, I felt a sense of finality. It was time to truly let go. I gathered the papers and videos and took them to a shredder. As they were destroyed, piece by piece, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was symbolic, a final act of closure. Life moved on, and so did I. I built a new routine, surrounded by positivity and hope. The scars of the past were still there, but they had healed, leaving me wiser and more resilient. As the seasons changed, so did my life. Emily and I grew closer, building a relationship based on trust and mutual respect. We both had our baggage, but we faced it together, supporting each other every step of the way. Looking back, I realized that the betrayal and pain had been a catalyst for growth. It had forced me to reevaluate my life, to confront my demons, and to emerge stronger. I was no longer defined by what had happened to me, but by how I had risen above it. In the end, I found peace, love, and a renewed sense of purpose. The past was a chapter that had closed, and the future was a blank canvas, ready to be filled with new adventures and possibilities. And so I moved forward, embracing each day with gratitude and hope, ready to create a life that was truly my own.